Welcome back to Up Front and our extended interview with Governor Walker today. Governor, let's talk a little bit about the University of Wisconsin system. It sounds like your plan for a tuition cut is not going to survive. Are you disappointed by that?
Well, good negotiations. At a minimum, I'd like to make sure we maintain a freeze. In these listening sessions I alluded to, and in other places, I hear it not only from college students, I hear from their families, and I hear from a lot of high school students. In fact, just the other day, I was at a high school where I talked about this very subject, and I said, I hear from high school students all the time about their worries about the high cost of higher education. Every one of the seniors' heads, and a few juniors too, were nodding out there, because not just here in Wisconsin, but across the nation. I mean, since 1978, tuition's gone up 4 times the rate of inflation. And I think that's a real concern for working families all across the state. So we froze tuition 4 years in a row. I propose freezing it the first year of the budget, cutting it the second year. I'd love to still have the cut, because I think that would help a lot more families have access. But if nothing else, they at least have to maintain that freeze.
I think you said a couple of moments ago you expect that most of your increase for the UW system will survive intact, about $100 million increase
Yeah, $100
total.
million just in total, beyond the $35 million we set aside just for the reduction in tuition. And I think there's a strong sense, again, that it's not just about saying we're spending more in the UW, but it ties into this workforce issue. It's why we put in performance measures that we work with the University of Wisconsin Regents on to say, I not only want more people enrolled, more specifically, I want more graduates. I'd like to have more graduates in high demand areas. I'd like to have them graduate in a reasonable amount of time. And I'd like to have them graduate and get jobs here in the state of Wisconsin.
The UW system president, Ray Cross, said it's the best budget that he has seen in a while. And yet there are people, and you hear from them, who say what happened a couple of years ago, the deep cuts to UW, did long-term damage to the institution's reputation, its ability to attract grant money, its ability to attract and retain top-notch faculty. Do you think there was any damage from
No, in
the
fact,
budget?
actually, the data shows just the opposite, that we moved up yet again. The University of Wisconsin, our flagship in Madison, moved up on the rankings of the best institutions of higher education, according to U.S. News and World Report, moved up again. A number of other campuses in the UW system got called out for good marks on those rankings as well. And so people forget that the state funding is only a fraction of all the money, from tuition to grants to assistance to donations and all sorts of things. It is a combination of things here, but in this case, it's not just the new funding, it's targeted in key areas that will help broaden the spectrum, and it's helping out in areas, even for non-traditional learners, to help broaden the workforce.
So late last week, a couple of lawmakers introduced legislation that is very similar to what you wanted to put in the budget regarding the UW and what's called campus free speech. So that was taken out because it was considered a non-fiscal item, but it's coming back to life now. And essentially, and I want to make sure I get this right, the lawmakers' bill would require the University of Wisconsin systems to discipline students, possibly suspend or expel them, who disrupt speeches on campus. It would also say that the university has to maintain a position of neutrality on controversial public policy issues. I would imagine you're pleased with this. Why is this needed? And are you concerned that in any way free speech rights of people who may not agree with speakers who are on campus are infringed?
Well, the problem is right now you have just the opposite. You have, particularly amongst a lot of liberal groups and organizations, you have the opinion that their point of view, which they say to be open-minded about, they're really not open-minded, that they only want to hear from people who agree from them. To me, a university should be precisely the spot where you have an open and free dialogue about all different positions. And people can certainly, whether it's against me or somebody else, say, I disagree. But disagreeing or even protesting is one thing. If you come into an auditorium where they're having a discussion or a conversation on this and you want to hold signs up, you want to protest that, you want to have a rally out in front, perfectly fine. But the minute that you shut down a speaker, no matter whether they're liberal, conservative, or somewhere in between, I just think that's wrong. To me, a university, anywhere, a free speech should be upheld. But at a minimum, at a university, should be precisely the spot where we say people have a right to be heard. And if someone has a contrary viewpoint, set up a similar symposium or hold a protest outside, but disrupting, shutting down, as we've seen not only here in Wisconsin, but elsewhere across the country, shutting down the ability for someone to actually be heard is not free speech.
As policy, how important is this to you and to members of the legislature?
I think it's incredibly important. And I think it's not just on the principle, which in of itself is strong, but I think in the larger context, again, if we're going to be providing taxpayers' money, if the hardworking taxpayers of the state are going to be supporting our institutions of higher education, I think there's an expectation that all voices can be heard and that there's an amount of respect. To me, my free speech rights don't transcend your right to be heard, and I think that's the problem we've had. And we see it again. This is not unique to Wisconsin. We see it around the country, in some cases around the world, that some people think that only certain voices should be heard. I think we need to stand up and advocate for all voices being heard. I'm
going to take another break. We will get to the Canada trade dispute in a moment. We'll also talk about 2018. Back with Governor Walker in just a moment.
WisPolitics.com reports Joint Finance Committee votes on the budget. Track the progress on the budget blog and follow WisPolitics on Twitter.